Today on Hebrew Vocab Boost, it's all about wanting stuff with the root Bet Kof Shin. Shalom and welcome back to Hebrew Vocab Boost. I'm Sapir and today I'm talking about the root Bet Kof Shin, which in the Tanakh had to do with wanting or seeking or searching. And in modern times, it mostly, not 100%, has the meaning of requesting something from somebody else. So in the Tanakh, we have this root a little over 200 times, and the vast majority of the words are verbs. The verb, specifically the verb bikesh or levakesh. Bikesh is the third person, singular, masculine, past tense form, and levakesh is the infinitive. In the Tanakh, the verb gets translated mostly as to seek, but the JBS and other versions, English versions of the Bible, translate it using so many different words. I have to read this list just because it's so long. There's to look for, to want, to search, demand, to try, to intend, to hunt, to pursue, to find, to require, to be after, to be bent on, to be out to do something, or to set out to do something. So many ways to say to seek. And the verb levakesh can be followed by an infinitive verb, as in the phrase vayevakesh lehakot. And this was when Saul tried to pin David to a wall. So that second verb has to be in its infinitive form. Or it can also be followed by a noun, as in the phrase levakesh nefesh. And we never actually see it look like levakesh nefesh. It's usually levakesh et somebody's nefesh. And it literally means to seek one's soul, but it basically means they want my life. They're trying to take my life. They're trying to kill me. And so you always see the pronoun, they always have et because it's a specific life that they're trying to take. And then there's always or almost always a pronominal ending on nefesh. So like nafshi, nafshecha, whoever's life it is that somebody wants to take. So in this example, we see mevakshim et nafshecha. They want to kill you. They seek your soul. And so it often depends on what comes after levakesh, whether it's a verb or a noun or kind of what kind of verb or noun it is that guides the translation into English or into whatever language. So we sometimes get a translation that makes it a little difficult to see where the verb levakesh fits in. I'm about to show you one from Genesis 43:30. It's when Joseph is in Egypt. He's been there for many years, and now the famine is upon everyone. And so his half brothers all come to see if they can get some food. And he then tells them, "Nope, don't come back without your other brother," which is of course Joseph's only full brother Benjamin. And then he sees Benjamin after all these years, and he's just overcome with emotion. So the verse says, "Vayemaher Yosef ki nichmeru rachamav el achiv, vayevakesh livkot, vayavo hachadra, vayevch shama." The JPS translation is, "With that, Joseph hurried out, for he was overcome with feeling toward his brother and was on the verge of tears. He went into a room and wept there." So this part, vayevakesh livkot, literally means, and he was seeking to cry. But a more colloquial translation is, he was on the verge of tears. As a quick side note, I want to point out this word here. I copied and pasted from my biblical corpus, and I thought the schwa under the Kof Shin looked a little weird. So this is a photo of the screen with the verse in a more normal font. And we can see that this word that I pronounced vayevch has a schwa, but it also has another dot. I do not know what this dot is. You would never see anything like that in modern Hebrew. I feel like a single dot sitting there, not way up high, has only two options. It's either something like a dagesh or it's like a chirik. But it can't be a chirik because there's a schwa. So is it a dagesh? How can there be a dagesh on a Kof Shin? So to be honest, I really do not know how to pronounce that word. I mean, I'm doing my best with vayevch, but I'm 99% sure that I am mispronouncing that. So I just wanted to put that out there. I didn't want you to think I was, boldly proclaiming that this is how this is pronounced. I really do not know how to pronounce that word. And then there's this phrase, mevakshim et pnei shlomo. The whole verse is v'chol haaretz mevakshim et pnei shlomo lishmoa et chochmato asher natan Elokim belibo. This phrase appears twice. First here in 1 Kings 10:24, and then there's a slightly different version of it in 2 Chronicles 9:23. The JPS and quite a few other versions translate mevakshim et pnei shlomo as they come to pay homage to Solomon. But more literally, it's like they are seeking the face or the presence of Solomon. So while the modern meaning of levakesh, meaning to ask for something, and all of these biblical meanings of trying or seeking, they all involve somebody who wants something. This modern meaning definitely is specifically meaning that somebody is making a request to another person that they will do something for them or give them something or allow them to do something. So this meaning of levakesh, meaning to request something from somebody else, only shows up once in the Tanakh, and it's in Nehemiah 2:4. The full verse is, Vayomar li hamelech al ma ze ata mevakesh, ve'etpalel el Elokei hashamayim. And the JPS translates it as, the king said to me, what is your request? With a prayer to Hashem of heaven. And then the rest of the thought continues in the next verse. So in the English JPS translation, the word request is a noun. It says, what is your request? But in the Hebrew version, it's clearly a verb. Ma ze ata mevakesh. It's like, what is it that you request? I am not trying to say anything negative about the JPS or any other translation. Anytime anybody translates any document, they make their choices as to what they think is the most appropriate wording. I just wanted to show that this is the only place in the whole Tanakh, in all the hundreds of examples, the hundreds of iterations of this verb, levakesh. This is the only one where it means, or where it gets translated as to request, and where it's very clear that a request is being made of another person. In the very next verse, Nehemiah asks the king to send him to Judah. And so, right, in the verse I quoted, it said, what is your request? And so the request was, please send me to Judah. So it is very much not, I am seeking to go to Judah. It's, I am asking for your permission. And this is the main way, I think, that levakesh is used in modern times. It's really the only way I've ever heard it out in the wild. But the academia does have some things to say about this. So when you look up levakesh in the academia, it'll give you 3 different definitions. And the first one, which supposedly is the most common usage, is to use levakesh with the preposition mi or me, meaning of. So you're requesting of a person. And it specifically says that this is when you are asking another person for something, for a thing, or for them to do something. And then there's a second definition, which can use either have the infinitive after it, or it can have the conjunction she after it plus a future tense. And this one means to want. They said it was somewhat synonymous with rotse. And so you would use the infinitive if you want to do something yourself. So if whoever's doing the wanting and whoever's going to do the other action, whatever action that is, then that is going to use an infinitive verb. If the second action is going to be done by a second party, that's when you're going to have to use she plus the future tense. So I know this is a little confusing. The difference is, like, if I want to learn Hebrew, I would say, if I'm going to use this word mevakesh, I would say ani mevakeshet li lamod ivrit. Li lamod. So I'm going to just use that straight infinitive verb. But if I want somebody else to learn Hebrew, I would say ani mevakeshet shehu yilmad ivrit. So I'm going to use the she and then plus the future tense. And the last definition that the academia gives is to seek or to search. They use the word lechapes, which means to look for or to search for something. And with this meaning, we use the preposition et. So if I'm looking for the truth, I'm searching for the truth. Ani mechapesed et haemet, ani mevakeshet et haemet. Now, the passive of a PL verb is usually a pu'al verb. And so, but the pu'al form of this verb it seems to have a very specific meaning. And so the word is bukash, and that seems to mean wanted, like as in wanted by the law. He's a wanted man, hu bukash. And that is not found anywhere in the Tanakh. That is a modern creation. So lehit bakesh is a hitpa'el verb, and this one it has the meaning of the passive. So to be wanted, to be requested. So this can be a little confusing, and again, it can be really different from language to language. What or who can be the subject of a passive voice verb. So in the example given on the Academia's website, it's the person, the requestee, who can be the subject of this hitpa'el verb. And then the next action, whatever is being requested of that person, is going to be in the infinitive. We can say something like, Sapir mitbakeshet lelamed ivrit ba'internet. Sapir is requested to teach Hebrew on the internet. It kind of sounds weird, and to be honest, I've never heard anything like this in the wild. All right, let's get back to our shoresh here. Bakasha is a noun, it's a feminine noun, and it means a request. In the Tanakh, it only shows up in the book of Esther, when brave Esther is making a request of her husband, King Ahasuerus. And it does show up more than once, though, in that book. And so it meant a request back in the book of Esther, and it still means a request today in modern Hebrew. You really hear this word a lot, and we don't always realize what we're saying. You hear it a lot in the phrase, or it's actually just a single word in Hebrew, bevakasha, which means please. It literally means like as a request. And that's their way to say please, to be polite when asking for something. but it also means you're welcome. So, bevakasha, yalla, toda raba, bevakasha. Bikush is a newish word. I use that phrase really loosely because I don't know when it came into the language, but it's definitely not in the Tanakh. And it is a noun, and it means demand. And so this is like supply and demand. So the demand of widgets has gone up, or the factory is struggling to keep up with the demand, right? So demand for, the desire of the public to have something. And now this pattern, just using the 3 shoresh letters with an E-U vowel pattern in the middle, that is the regular way to make a shem peula, a verbal noun, out of a PL verb. So bikush seems like it should be the noun form of request or desire or search. But it, in fact, we know because we just saw bakasha means request. And so this one only means search. It means demand, which is actually very much like the desire, right? Or it means search, as in when you are seeking something, searching for something. But it does not mean a request because that's bakasha. All right, that's it, folks. There's really only 2 words in the Tanakh and 2 extra words in modern Hebrew. But there seemed like there was kind of a lot to unpack there. So, as always, if you have any questions or feedback, please leave it in the comments and I will do my best to respond. Hit like if you enjoyed this video, and subscribe and hit the notification bell if you want to see more. Lehitraot bapa'am ha'ba'ah. See you next time.